Check, check, check.
La 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 la. Okay. Open the door, open it wide. Open the door, let peace inside. Keep going, or that's good? Okay, and then can you want to check it with the singing? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Do you want to turn it off so I can unplug or? Okay. Um, I didn't bring my stand because I wasn't sure like how when I was going to be going up. So, um, what should we do? Like as far as where should the uke be before I go on? Um, well, just like what do you as far as like the cord? I feel like it'd be easier to plug that in than it would be to like get this and all that. So if I just have that and I hand it to you and then you just plug it in, does that seem like okay? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're a pro. Thank you. Appreciate it.
hard to even do land acknowledgements, to educate and bring awareness and knowledge to the wider community. People in my family did this a couple generations ago. A few other people that I know also did it at the cost of getting threatened and visited by government officials, scholarships taken away, rights taken away, and it's a real honor. Thank you, Roni, for inviting me to do this. So with that too, a land acknowledgement isn't just a formality that happens at the beginning of events. It's an affirmation, a practice, and a ritual that can happen every day. It signifies the tie between land, original people, the self, and the collective. We do not own the land. She owns us. And those of us who don't have direct ancestral ties to this land here are visitors here, myself included. All of us have a responsibility to the land, to the original peoples of the land, to ourselves, and to each other. Land acknowledgement is a form of storytelling that strengthens the understanding and the value of existence. The story of where we are, who was here before us, where we come from, how we got here, and where we're going. White supremacy culture and capitalistic ideology profits and benefits off the decimation of land and people, children, babies, parents, siblings, everyone. It rips apart communities, families, the collective. And then it establishes itself and thrives on establishing social normatives that perpetuate individualism and situational positionality. In this society, we're conditioned from the very beginning to believe that when we first meet each other, that we are solitary beings with no ancestral charge or energy. We lead with our best foot forward. We don't overshare anything about ourselves or share too much. We don't talk about our weaknesses or the things that scare us or our traumas. When we first meet, we assess a person's physical appearance, the color of their skin, their gender, what they look like, their education, their job title, how much money they make, their material possessions. And then we start to create unrealistic and disjointed expectations of ourselves and of each other, so that we are always aware of who we are above and who we are below of. However, by incorporating a daily acknowledgement, we invite ourselves to arrive in space understanding our value in existing, and we bring with us all of our points of belonging. Our connection or disconnection to the land, the ancestors of the land that we live on, our own ancestry, our families, our strengths, our growth, our vulnerabilities, or insecurities, and we are no longer subscribing to situational positionality, but building communal solidarity. And we are no longer perceived, but we're seen, and that holds power. My name is Celicia. A lot of you call me Sol. I go by any pronoun. I'm mixed Latine and Chiricahua Apache. I'm one of 2,000 left. My family comes from Guatemala, El Salvador, and from Cochi Stronghold. which lies right next to sacred spiritual and ceremonial land called Oak Flat. The land, our cultural heritage, that land, our cultural heritage, and the future of Apache is threatened right now. Oak Flat is scheduled to be decimated, mined for copper, due to a land swap deal back in 2014 that Congress implemented under the Obama administration. I live here, and I work here with my beautiful family that are at home right now. And I have an amazing team that I work alongside every single day that hold me. LGBTQ Connection team, I love you so much. And I also live and work for this community. We are on the unceded territory of the Southern Pomo, Grayton Rancheria, and neighboring coastal Miwok. This land is incredible and special. Generally, when we're not in an atmospheric river, it's a pretty temperate climate with moderate temperature, meaning food and plants can grow here year-round. The original people of this land lived in harmony and balance with the land, coming together as a community to honor the changing of the seasons and the migration of animals to guide their work and harvest. And everyone was involved in the work. This cultivated a shared understanding that their roles were revered, held significance, and were important in sustaining life and existence. This land was stolen, and it was taken through trickery and bribes due to policies and treaties, murder, enslavement, indoctrination, assimilation, genocide. Even though California prohibited slavery through the Act for the Government and Protection of Indians, passed in 1850, white families were allowed to file court petitions to grant authority over Native Americans as they saw fit, creating a binding contract for indentured servitude. This forced servitude of the indigenous people here is what helped build the missions and ranchos in Sonoma. It was this, as well as policies like the 1852 California Fugitive Slave Act, which permitted unlawful enslavement of free African Americans and denied people of color the right to challenge their bondage in a court of law. It's what established the foundational wealth here in Sonoma County and greatly contributes to the disparities and inequities our BIPOC communities still face today. And in this moment, I would like to show gratitude and thank local organizations that have supported local and visiting indigenous communities. The Sonoma County Indian Health Project, the California Indian Museum, Federated Indian Granton Rancheria, Raices, Alliance for Felix Cove, Susquehanna Intertribal Council. Thank you for bringing awareness and for your dedication to the local indigenous people and history. And I'd also like to thank the NAACP for launching a project with Sonoma State University to bring about awareness about the history and impacts of slavery here in Sonoma County. Commenting on the history, I'd like to also say that despite this dark part of their story and their history, the Pomo and the coastal Miwok are still doing incredible things here today. Incredible things for their land, for this land, their people, and the wider community, for us. Bringing people together, sharing ancestral knowledge, rematriating the land, creating art, healing, and connecting those of us who've been disconnected from our ancestry back to culture, community, and land. And I'd like to thank the Pomo friends that I have and relatives, the Coastal Miwok friends and relatives that I have. Thank you for that love and acceptance. And what this demonstrates is that hope is not where we lean back. Hope is not a passive idea, it's not a wish. Hope is an acknowledgement. Hope is a commitment. Hope is a promise. And that promise leads to action. And when we're in alignment with this land and each other and acknowledge the power of acting on ancestral practice, we disrupt and dismantle colonial progress and create collective wisdom. Thank you to the indigenous people of this land for this gift of insight. Thank you to this community for honoring this practice as we come together to celebrate the lives and grieve the loss of our trans siblings. And in this moment, I'd really like to thank someone in particular, my friend JL. What an amazing, beautiful friend I have. I miss and love you so much. Thank you for teaching me the importance of celebrating joy even in our darkest moments. To smile when people are laughing at you. To never give up. Your words and love I will always keep close and make sure to pass on. And you're throughout this whole acknowledgement. To all of my relations, past, present, and future, aho.
Thank you so much, Soul, for leading us in that land acknowledgement. It is essential for all of us who are settlers here, but especially us white trans people, to acknowledge that the colonialism that has oppressed the peoples indigenous to the Americas is the same colonialism that oppresses Palestine and polices our gender expressions. Racism is the foundation of transphobia. Our struggles are connected, and we cannot forget that. I'd now like to invite mi amiga Ronimar to the stage to speak more on this and why Trans Day of Remembrance is such an important event for our community. Their speech will be in Spanish, so if you don't speak Spanish and you'd like to follow along, you can either use one of the interpretation devices or you can scan one of the QR codes that we have around the event on the tables. And I believe the second and third slides of that digital program will have a translation of their speech. Thank you, Roni.
Primero le quiero agradecer a mi amiga Kodak que está aquí arriba conmigo. ¿Le podemos dar un aplauso? Y ahora quiero agradecerles a ustedes hoy por estar con nosotros. Voy a mover esto, sorry. Debido a la falta de educación y los discursos creados para deshumanizar a nuestra comunidad trans, hemos perdido a muchas personas este año. Personas de diferentes edades, géneros, habilidades y estatus socioeconómicos. Quiero declarar que la violencia contra la comunidad trans no ocurre solo ocasionalmente, sino es un problema social y sistémico. Por esta razón, el Día de la Memoria Trans, también conocido como el Día de Recuerdo Trans, comenzó hoy en 1999 como una vigilia en honor de Rita Hester, una mujer transgénero que fue asesinada el año anterior. Y desde el fallecimiento de Rita, ha sido una tradición en nuestra comunidad organizar vigilias para todas las personas que han perdido la vida. Transfobia es una maldición basada en el odio y división. Es crucial reconocer que las personas afrodescendientes, indígenas de color, neurodivergentes, de bajos ingresos, trabajadores sexuales, personas sin hogar, indocumentadas y con discapacidades son las más vulnerables a este tipo de violencia y muerte. Hace unos días que falleció una joven de 2 espíritus, William Willis Medicine Eagle. Es un recuerdo doloroso que nuestros jóvenes, 2 espíritus y transgéneros merecen estar seguros, experimentar alegría y simplemente existir. Por esa razón, nuestra existencia es resistencia. Organizar este evento no ha sido fácil, especialmente en un año electoral. Hemos visto más visibilidad del odio y recordamos que aún hay quienes que no nos aceptan, que no nos ven como seres humanos y sentimos tanto soledad que preferimos estar muertos. Al igual que nuestros hermanos a quienes honramos hoy, tenemos que sobrevivir en entornos celebrativos de la exclusión trans, que no respetan nuestras identidades y más allá de eso, intentan impedir nuestros espacios de celebración. Gracias de nuevo por estar con nosotros esta noche.
Thank you so much, Roni, for your beautiful and impactful words. In creating this event, it was incredibly important to us that we uplift each of our lost siblings' lives and remember not just how they have passed on, but remember who they were in life. What were their passions? What made them smile? What impact did they leave on their community? If you are interested in learning more about each of the people we are honoring this evening, I invite you to scan one of the QR codes that I just had you scan a moment ago. And you can also look through a physical copy. We have some at the resource table back there in both English and in Spanish. But please be aware that these bios do have some details about how these people died, and as a result, they can be difficult to read. We know that this day is not an easy one for many of us in the trans community. But tonight, we hope to make this event feel more like a celebration of life rather than feeling stuck in our grief. Together, we can mourn, grieve, cry, laugh, and heal together, taking care to remember the beauty in each of the lost community members we will honor tonight. If you are struggling with the heaviness of the evening, we have multiple therapists on hand tonight if you would like a brief check-in. If at any point you need support, please find Nicolette, Mars, or Jason, who are in the back row there and raising their hands. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Whatever you're feeling tonight, on a day that has the potential to feel so heavy, it is welcomed and celebrated here. We hope that this event can serve as a way to move through our collective grief and come out on the other side experiencing communal joy and a rededication to fighting for trans justice from the US to the rest of the world. We will now begin the core part of tonight's event, in which we read the names of our trans siblings that we have lost in the last year. We invite anyone who feels called to participate to line up on the side of the stage here, to your right. You will be given an index card, and on that card, it will say someone's name, including a pronunciation of that name. You don't have to read that aloud, that's just to help you. The location of where they died, and a few words about who they were as a person, what they loved, and how they are remembered. We unfortunately have many names to read tonight, and so you are welcome to read multiple names if you feel called to do so. There are 2 sides of each index card. One side is in English and one side is in Spanish, so we encourage you to read in whatever language you feel most comfortable in. If you have mobility issues and you can't easily make your way up to the stage, please raise your hand and we will be happy to come bring the mic to you so you can still participate. Also, if you would like to contribute to our community art project that is so beautiful, we invite you to find your way to the mural after exiting the stage, and then you can use the information on your index card to write that person's name or anything about them or any feelings that you're experiencing in that moment on the mural, and we will all contribute to this art project together. You can also hang on to your card and write on the mural during our Community Connection Hour, which will be following the event from 8 to 9. So I'd now ask that we can bring the lights down up here a little bit so we can see our projection. Brilliant, thank you so much. And anyone who feels called to participate, please feel free to come start lining up over here, and we will start with the reading of the names.
Alan O'Donnell, Brockport, New York, sensitive, knowledge, seeker, nature lover.
Skylar Harrison Reeves, Washington, D.C., beacon, shining light, beloved family member.
Rainey Baker, Portland, Oregon, author, hacker, game developer.
China Long of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, authentic, passionate dancer.
Chris Velasquez, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, charming, veteran, advocate for peace.
Dominic Dupree Palace, Chicago, Illinois, empresaria, amante de los deportes, niete querida.
Annie Roberson, Washington, D.C., makeup enthusiast, music lover, Disney fan.
River Page Olmsted, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, great with children, nature lover, aspiring music therapist.
Lisa Love Turman, Chicago, Illinois, animal lover, caring, free-spirited.
London Price, Miami-Dade, Florida, generous, giving, altruistic.
Maya Finch, Boston, Massachusetts, fashion lover, community organizer, big heart.
Naomi McNew, Kokomo, Indiana, artist, pet lover, Star Wars fan.
Lola Laparella Ebony McDaniels, Newark, New Jersey, mentor, ballroom, queen, beautiful soul.
Shandon Floyd, Columbia, South Carolina, traveler, aspiring hairstylist, nursing student.
Amiri Jean Reed, Toledo, Ohio, positive, funny, life of the party.
Keisha Kiwan Richardson, Toledo, Ohio, singer, local business supporter, Marvel fan.
Savannah Ryan Williams, Minneapolis, Minnesota, full of life, bold, big heart, llena de vida, audaz y gran corazón.
Madison, Montana, Los Angeles, California, musician, artist, social justice advocate. Musique, artista, defensore de la justicia social.
Care Hansen, Riverton, Utah, pet lover, dedicated student, aspiring nurse.
Trip Schultz, Salt Lake City, Utah, musician, horror fan, loyal friend.
Amber Miner, Raytown, Missouri, resilient, unapologetic leader.
Megan Riley Lewis, Bel Air, Maryland, Deadhead community advocate, sparkly, fan de Grateful Dead, defensora de la comunidad, brillante.
Lexus Walker, Norfolk, Virginia, compassionate mentor, leader.
Kitty Monroe, Phoenix, Arizona, artist, singer, fashion lover.
Quinn Joy in Iowa, communist, feminist, organizer.
James Moen, Grand Junction, Colorado, doll collector, caring friend, beloved son.
Sasha Williams, Las Vegas, Nevada, performer, ballroom queen, heart of gold.
Emma, Africa, Perea, Garcia, San Juan, Puerto Rico, community member, chosen sister, loved friend.
Cecilia Gentili, New York City, New York, activist, author, leader.
Next, Benedict, Owasso, Oklahoma, nature lover, artist, foodie.
Noah Jackson Chase, Charlotte, North Carolina, loving soul, kind friend, veteran.
Ashton Mile Clatterbuck, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, runner, activist, environmentalist.
Righteous Torrance Hill, TK Chevy, of Atlanta, Georgia, a business owner, community leader, kind heart.
Reina Hernandez, Mexicali, Mexico, business owner, hard worker, dreamer.
Jose Luis Rodriguez, JL, Napa, California. Community advocate, mentor, beloved friend.
Diamond Bringman, Houston, Texas, energetic, larger than life, loved community member.
Alex Franco, Leahy, Utah, animal lover, family man, great hugger.
Maraxis Medina, Los Angeles, California, makeup artist, music lover, magnetic aura.
Yella Clark, Angola, Louisiana, loyal, trustworthy, tenacious.
River Navia Goddard, Phoenix, Stowe, Massachusetts, musician, outgoing, and creative.
T. Arnold, legend, billions, ace. Hollandale Beach, Florida, traveler, entrepreneur, and supportive friend.
Basil Brown, Lafayette, Louisiana, fashion lover, coder, community advocate.
Star Brown, Memphis, Tennessee, makeup enthusiast, fashion lover, beloved family member.
Andrea Doria dos Passos, Miami Beach, Florida. Beach lover, free spirit, shining light.
Alistair Matthews, Lockport, Illinois, unafraid, kind, brave.
Derry Moore, St. Genevieve, Missouri, segura de sí misma, con talento, profundamente amada, confident, talented, deeply loved.
Kita B., Kansas City, Missouri, entertainer, mentor, matriarch.
Jaslyn Johnson, Las Vegas, Nevada, aspiring cosmetologist, kind, easygoing.
Tay Dior Thomas, Mobile, Alabama, authentic, fearless, natural leader.
Michelle Henry, San Francisco, California, courageous, caring, a ray of light.
Denver, Colorado, loved, cared for, remembered. Amada, cuidada y recordada.
Liara Kaylee Sai, Minneapolis, Minnesota, musician, community advocate, and veteran.
Polly Likens, Sharpsville, Pennsylvania, animal lover, selfless, sassy.
Kenji Zamada Spurgeon, Seattle, Washington, uplifting, infectious smile, community advocate.
Shannon Boswell, Atlanta, Georgia, foodie, dog lover, one of a kind.
Monique Brooks, aka Jade Monique Thomas, Orlando, Florida, fun-loving, hairstylist, community advocate.
Dylan Gurley, Denton, Texas, kind, beloved family member, social justice advocate.
Vanity Williams, Houston, Texas, multilingual, nursing student, veteran.
Tavion Lathan, Baltimore, Maryland, infectious laugh, amazing cook, cherished daughter.
Indiana Grayson, North Carolina, creative, amante de la moda, aficionada a la música en vivo. North Carolina, creative, fashion lover, live music enthusiast.
Kasim Omar, Columbus, Ohio, dancer, singer, beloved family member.
Barbie Iceland, Red China, Chicago, Illinois, respectful nail artist Nicki Minaj fan.
Okay, I'll just leave it. Thank you, everyone, for reading our names tonight. It's good. I'll work with this. Okay, thank you. Muchas gracias a todos que leyeron. Ahora es tiempo para presentar nuestros siguientes oradores invitados. Primero tenemos a Henry Bautista, después Cici Sofranco y una canción que nos va a cantar Rad. It is now time for our guest speakers. First, we have Henry Bautista, followed by, woo, yeah, let's celebrate that, homie, yeah. Following, we have Cici Sofranco. Please join me in welcoming our first guest, Henry.
Hola, hola, buenas noches, buenas noches, sí, buenas noches. Hoy estamos aquí reunidas para celebrar las vidas de nuestros hermanos trans, personas quienes sus vidas fueron arrebatadas por un sistema que planta odio y separación. Pero hoy, aquí, celebrando sus vidas, me pongo a pensar en ustedes. Ustedes, mis restauradores de espíritu, defensores del pueblo, luchadores del barrio, los rebeldes de la cuadra, como se diga. ¡Ey, aguas! Porque ahí los vi que andan planeando y tramando sus planecitos. Pienso en ustedes y pienso en el futuro de nuestras comunidades. Hoy aquí, una carta de amor para las maripositas del barrio. A ustedes, seres multidimensionales, multicolores, que brindan luz a donde llegan, con sus cantos, voces, arte, con sus ideas macabras y conspiradoras. Ya los vi, tocando corazones con sus bellas rebeldías. A las mariposas de los valles, a las flores que le cantan al sol, a los arbolitos que se sostienen por debajo de la superficie, firmes en solidaridad. A ustedes, a ti, mi bella estrella, que en el cielo ahora es en donde está, pero desde ahí nos sigues iluminando el camino. Veo cómo tu luz refleja del agua y junto a la luna veo cómo se convierte en un espejo y me enseña, justo ahí, llena de lágrimas en los ojos, me enseña las bellas flores, las mariposas del barrio, los colibríes que besan a todas las plantitas, ellas que lucharon en silencio, quienes se fueron muy pronto, tal vez sin poder decir sus verdades, guardando secretos que nadie nunca sabrá. Me levanto, veo mis manos, respiro profundo. Gracias. Otro día, otra lucha. Aquí vamos. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you, trans people. Thank you for letting me wear your binder that first time. Ahí nomás, just shoved it in my face y todo. Try it on, come on. Show us and pose. Thank you for teaching me how to be vulnerable and radically intimate. Thank you for letting me touch your scars and ask you questions. What you don't know is that later that day I ran home, lifted my shirt, and in front of that full body mirror, I stood there. Dude, Imagine. Thank you. And para ahí hay los que están con la cabecita agachada. And even those people out there that are out there con el megáfono, I see you. I honor your lucha, porque tu lucha es mi lucha. Thank you for letting me in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your fears, frustration, your healing journey, and joy. Joy. Thank you for that joy, that love, that beautiful radical love that you share, that love that you teach. Because I didn't grow up understanding what love meant. So gracias por ese amor rebelde. Thank you for letting me in, for letting me see and witness that magic. Que viva el amor rebelde.
Ahora siguiente es Cici Sofranco. Now we have Cici Sofranco.
Hi, everyone. I had a really hard time coming up with what I was going to say tonight. There's a lot going on right now. It's hard not to feel upset and really dark and depressed and scared. And then there's also a part of me that feels really emboldened and ready to be loud and proud and fight. And those are the two modes I've kind of been oscillating between. And unlike the two genders, I think that's valid. Thank you. Because we can't deny that things are hard in a very terrifying way. I think that denial is the enemy of progress. So lately I've just had to sit and feel a lot of my feelings and cry and be scared and wait until the other side comes back around again, where I understand that being here has not lost its value. In fact, in a lot of ways, at 34, I feel like I'm just starting. I was still deeply entrenched in cis heteronormativity until a few years ago when I finally got in touch with my queerness. 2020 woke me up to the reality of systemic racism and oppression. Last year, I did a deep dive into my own personal accountability and responsibility for harm. I know it's a lifelong process and I'll never be done, but I also know that today's version of me is the most capable of contributing to our community than I have ever been, and only getting better as I learn and unlearn more every day. There's a silly little line I like to reference whenever I'm overthinking. I'm sure none of you can relate to overthinking. It's from a Bo Burnham song of all things called Comedy. And in this song, in one of the only serious moments, he sings, "And I know I want to leave the world better than I found it." And for some reason, that line really brings me comfort, because that's all I can do. I don't have control over what's happening everywhere in the world, but I have control over myself and how I contribute, and that's it. And all I want to do is leave this world a little better than it was when I came into it, and I do think I can do that. Sometimes that's enough to get me through a dark mental health moment, and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. That's the reality of what we're dealing with, right? We will be sad, and we will have moments of being okay. And the okay moments will be bigger and better when we lean on each other and share joy together and help to heal each other. Trans community is incredibly vital right now, and it makes me so happy to see so many of you here tonight, whether you're trans or supporting a loved one who's trans, or just supporting the community because you know it's the best thing to do tonight. I think about the trans people who need the most community and support. And I remember that half of the documented trans murders this year in the United States were Black trans women. I think about the unhoused trans community. I think about immunocompromised and disabled trans people, some who don't go out to necessary, let alone socially nourishing appointments due to fear of COVID and other respiratory disease or other access barriers. I think this is a great time to build sustainability in ways that are disconnected and not reliant on the system. We know better than to rely on it, so let's rely on each other. If you have a backyard, build a garden. If you need a gardener, call me. I do not have a backyard and I would like to garden. If you have money, give to mutual aid. Wear a mask in public spaces. Offer your skills to your community for trade, not money. And ask if you have a need. Let's dream of a future we don't need them for. It's time right now. Hell yeah. Today, for Transgender Day of Remembrance, I want to use this day to renew my vow to love my transness and remember those who have been trans before me. I remember Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who threw the first brick and forever changed history. I remember my trans ancestors who I don't know, but I'm sure existed. I remember Palestinian resistance fighters who, despite being subject to the absolute worst conditions known to humankind, refused to give up and continue to fight for the freedom of their people. I vow, stronger than ever, to take care of the trans people around me. I will take care of you by taking care of me. I will take care of you by sharing what I have, whether material or emotional. I will take care of us by wearing a mask and contributing to mutual aid. I will do everything I can, but you know what? Transness doesn't need me. Transness has been here since the start of time, and transness will be here long after every single person in this room is gone. In the words of pop icon and capitalist enthusiast Miley Cyrus, we can't stop, we won't stop. They cannot get rid of us. They cannot silence us, because we are what happened when you take the opportunity to liberate yourself. Heteronormity fears us, capitalism fears us, and I intend to remain a threat. Thank you.
Gracias, Cece. Thank you, Cece. For our final speaker this evening, Rad will be taking the stage to share hope in a form of music. So take it away, Rad.
Oh, I love you. I love you all. Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you. Might put it up a little bit. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's an honor to be here with you. I really appreciate what all the speakers have said, and I feel that these songs also resonate and are an offering to the same sentiments. Open the door, open it wide. Open the door, let peace inside. Open the door, there's nowhere to hide. Open the door, stop genocide. Let's inspire a ceasefire. Put the weapons down. Let's require a ceasefire for everyone around. Hold space for the change to feel deep grief. Hold space for the change, invite the relief. Hold space for the change, Clear the fog, hold space for the change, create dialogue. Open the door, open it wide. Open the door, let peace inside. Open the door, there's nowhere to hide. Open the door, stop genocide. Let's inspire a ceasefire. Put the weapons down. Let's require a ceasefire for everyone around. Hold space for the change to feel deep grief. Hold space for the change, invite the relief. Hold space for the change, clear the fog. Hold space for the change, create dialogue. Open the door, open it wide. Open the door, let peace inside. Open the door, there's nowhere to hide. Open the door, stop genocide. Open the door, let peace inside. Open the door, stop genocide. Thank you. Thank you all so much. This next one is called Pump House, and it's about gender and expansion and inclusivity. So please feel free to sing along as well. Other days she, and for now you go by there. Any other pronouns that you like? 'Cause it's not your pump house that makes your identity. It's all the facets of your being that flourish beautifully. No, it's not your pump house that makes your identity. It's all the facets of your being that flourish beautifully. And most of all, you're a person living on this earth. It's just a role they cast you in for the parts they thought they saw. But you're much more than meets the eye, that no labels can define. 'Cause it's not your pump house that makes your identity. It's all the facets of your being that flourish beautifully. No, it's not your pump house that makes your identity. It's all the facets of your being
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Rad, so much for your beautiful musical performance. And a huge thank you. Let's get another round of applause for all of our amazing speakers. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your feeling, your humor, your musical talent. Thank you so much. Before we get into some closing words, it's important that we move through grief together, if we are feeling grief today, so that we can heal, so that we don't feel stuck where we're at. And so I'd like to invite Nicolette Gotuso to the stage to lead us in some grief processing, some meditation. So thank you, Nicolette.
Oh man, I am really short. So sorry. Yeah, thanks, I'll break it. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's fabulous. Can everyone see me? Okay, yeah, I know, I'm really sorry you can't. Thank you, hello. I feel so honored to be here in 100,000 different ways, and thank you to all the beautiful speakers and everyone who's shared, and everyone just who is here being alive today, right? Can I please see a show of hands of how many people know someone who's passed? Yeah, so that's like the whole room. I want to just take a second to ground. I love Joy's grounding. It's going to be very similar. So you can invite yourself to close your eyes, or you can have a soft gaze either at the floor, maybe at the blank screen, wherever you feel comfortable. Maybe you're here with somebody that you love that you can gaze at. And we're just gonna take a couple big, deep breaths in through the nose, and the exhale, we're gonna kind of all vocalize our exhale if you feel comfortable doing that, and I will demonstrate how. One more. And last one. And I want to invite you, with your eyes closed or your gaze soft, in your mind's eye to just imagine your person, your loved one that is no longer with us on this plane. And depending on what you believe, they're in another plane now. And I want you to try to imagine how they look, maybe how they smell, what they might be wearing, what you imagine they're wearing right now. What their voice sounds like, what they might say to you. Maybe they have an offering to give you right now, something that they think is so important to tell you. It could be very silly. It could be very meaningful. And maybe they don't have anything to say. Maybe you're just looking. I want you to imagine extending your hand to them. What does their hand feel like? What does it feel like to hold their hand again? What does their skin feel like? What do their nails look like? Maybe they have rings on, tattoos, whatever your experience of your person is. And maybe take a moment to say something to them. Maybe you have an offering that you would like to give to them. Maybe it's something that you didn't get to say, something that you wish you could have done together. Maybe you had a really big, amazing life event that you want to share with them that was important to you. And then I would like to invite you to imagine their response. Take another few minutes with your person here. Say some goodbye, see you later. And know that you're always welcome to come back to this place with your person. All you have to do is just close your eyes and imagine that they're here, get a good sense of them. We'll take another really big, deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you can come back to the room when you're ready. How brave of you all. So I feel like what I have to say is not that profound, and I'm already being judgmental. And it's interesting because half of what I'm going to tell you is about how we judge our grief. I heard something recently that someone said that judgment demands punishment. That like when we are judgmental of ourselves, what follows is a punishment. That when we're judging our grief, we have no choice but to like tell ourselves that it's bad or that how we're doing it is wrong. So part of what I'm gonna do really quickly, because I know I have a time, please. Okay, wow, so much time. Okay. Well, tell me when to be quiet, but also, so as most of us know, maybe we don't know, I'm not gonna assume, there are 5 stages of grief. And there is a potential 6th that's being explored, that's been explored. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler are some of the like pioneers in grief work, at least in the United States. Obviously, every single culture grieves differently, and we are the worst at it, in case you're wondering. We just don't, we blow ass at grief, is the truth. So I'm gonna hopefully make this a little bit less blowy. Or more, I don't know what's about to happen. I'm not a stand-up comedian, I don't know what I'm doing. I am though, secretly. Okay, so I'm hoping that I can leave you guys with a little bit more of a better understanding of grief so that you can feel more equipped and maybe help a loved one also feel that way. Because we just don't do it well. So the 5 stages of grief in literally no order, because grief also follows no order. Anger, denial, depression, bargaining, acceptance is the most interesting one to me. And then the 6th one that a lot of people are less familiar with is purpose. And I love that one. And if you need resources and want resources on grief or more books or reading literature or whatever, please ask and I will let you know of those. And so all that the stages of grief are, I'm gonna peek here, are tools. I'm not, okay. I know what I'm doing. I'm a therapist. It's okay, stage fright. The 5 stages of grief are tools for us to move through grief. It's just scaffolding. It is not a how-to guide to grief, right? It just educates us on where we are so that we can feel into it more deeply, right? So, for example, and I'm gonna speak on a couple misconceptions. And the first one is that grief is linear, which it isn't, okay? I imagine grief as like a ball in a box. And there is a button somewhere in the box, but we have no idea where the button is. And as we move through our day, the ball rolls all around the box, and sometimes it rolls on the button. And that's our grief button. And sometimes you're in Trader Joe's. Sometimes you're in class. Sometimes you're at work. And sometimes you're by yourself. Or sometimes you're watching a movie, and the ball rolls on the button. And I feel like a lot of people end up going, why like right now? And to me, right, as a spiritual person, I believe your loved one's there, right? The ball's rolling on the button because they're here. Their presence is being known to you. And so the best thing that we can do for grief is obviously to not be judgmental, because punishment has no space here for grief, in grief, right? There's a lot of shame for people wrapped up in grief, right? We're grieving wrong. There's a lot of competition in grief. So oftentimes you'll notice that two people have lost the same person and are having a completely different grief experience. People get very volatile in these states because we are all in different stages at different times, and we're judging ourselves and how each other are grieving the same person. So I want us to just also be mindful of that, right? We can lose the same person and grieve completely differently, and no one's loss is better or worse or stronger or harder to move through than someone else's. Like, has anyone in here lost a pet? Yeah, okay. How many of you experience telling someone that you lost a pet and then feeling really bad because you know they lost their grandparent? Or you felt really bad because you know they lost someone important to them and you're like, my dog died. And you have that like, it's just my dog. Right? This judgment of it's just this person, it's just that person. Like, we compare our grief to other people's senselessly. I believe one of the biggest forms of self-abandonment is denying ourselves our own access to our grief in so many ways, right? So, someone else touched on like the climate of the world right now is its own special grief. And the last thing we need to do is punish ourselves for grieving that. So, oh my gosh. Okay. The other thing I want to mention about grief is that it doesn't end. You know, it's interesting. As someone who specializes in grief with my notes, I think it's really important to note that, like, we are called to do this work. All of you here tonight are called to do the work that you are doing. I was called to do this work as a person who experienced a significant amount of loss in a very short amount of time. And my experience, and I imagine a lot of yours, is that it doesn't end. It becomes different, right? We carry it differently. It's kind of like if you were to put a gigantic backpack on with like 1,000 rocks, and it's like, they're jagged rock. They're not like smooth stones, you know? They're like jagged rocks, and you're carrying it around, and it's so uncomfortable. And for like however long, you're like, wow, this is really uncomfortable. Like, I actually hate this. It's hurting me. I want to take this off. And you cannot seem to get it off. It's like strapped to you. And then some time goes by, because again, there's no timeline either. So we're all on our own timelines here. An amount of time goes by, and we're like, okay, this thing is really annoying. If I just put this on differently, maybe it wouldn't hurt so bad, right? Which is very similar to the bargaining stage of grief. If I said this thing to them, if I was present during this, if I didn't go on that trip, if I just encouraged them to take care of themselves better, if they had a better therapist, if their medical team was sufficient and knew what they were doing. All of those bargaining tools that we use with the universe to try to gain our loved one back. So we've got this thing on, and we're like, if I just put it on right, or if it just had other stuff in it, or if I could just give this to, right, all of those things. And then you're continuing to live every day with this bag of jagged rocks on your back. And like one day you wake up and it's like on you still. You know it's there, but you're like, oh, it's already 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm just barely noticing this is on my back. That's interesting and different. And then maybe time goes by and you don't notice, you know it's on your back, but you don't know into the experience until 5 p.m. And then the next day, you notice it all day. Like, that is how grief works. And so we can go through all 5 stages of grief in 1 minute, right? I wish I had like I wish I like put it all together in a sentence that sounded really great, and I don't have that. But imagine being angry, depressed, right? Bargaining, and being in denial, and somehow managing to be in acceptance in a minute's time. And not just that, but all day, all throughout the day. Like, that's our experience of grief. The best thing that we can do is just know it's there and allow ourselves the ability to lean in without judgment and notice who we know we're comfortable around. Because if you're anything like me, I want to grieve by my damn self. I don't want anyone coming near me. I don't want people showing up at my house. I don't even want to let people know I'm sad that day. But I also know that being in community is the most helpful. Being in community with other people who have had loss is the most important thing for me, because it's a little fight club, right? Like, you join this little fight club. And for any of you who remember your first significant loss, you went from not understanding grief to understanding, right? Like, understanding enough. That initial phone call or the moment. And there is you before and you after. And you in between might be really blurry and honestly uncomfortable to visit. And so knowing our people, knowing who our people are, knowing who we can text, and just be accountable that we're not doing well, that we're struggling, because we are subject ourselves, right, to going down, right, depression. For a lot of us, it's a state of desire. We are depressed because we are in a state of longing and desire. And that state of desire is wanting this person to come back. And some of us, right, with already pre-existing mental illness, can go down real quick. So check on the people you love and care about. You know someone's going through grief, ask them about their loved one. Tell me a story. Do you have like a really fond memory? Can I see a picture? Get to know your loved one's loved one, right? And be able to be present. There's nothing for me better than someone being like, hey, I kind of feel like, you know, your brother's day is coming. Whether that's a birthday or a death anniversary. Hey, I know your friend's, day is coming. You remembered that? Because oftentimes the world just keeps moving and moving and moving. And it's like everyone's milling about and you're like, I am so sad. And my world is so different now. And then we meet that depression, you know? But I want to talk about purpose. Trans Day of Remembrance has given all of us purpose to be here tonight. And I think oftentimes we're really called to be like, this is so unfair. You know, people will be like, everything happens for a reason. You know, like, shut the fuck. Like, it's just not, it's absolutely unhelpful. Has anyone had that? Yes. Now listen, as a spiritual woman, my pronouns are she, her, by the way. LOL, it's a little late for that. What was I saying? Oh, purpose. Okay. Yeah, you guys, we're all here for a purpose, and we go, it's unfair, this isn't cool, da da da. People go, everything happens for a reason. There we go. Here's my train of thought. You like that? And I'm like, yo, take that somewhere else. Everything that happens has a purpose. Has a purpose. Meaning that I can access it or not. Right? That's what I believe. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I don't believe genocide happens for a reason. I don't believe that. I don't believe trans people being murdered happens for a reason. Don't believe that. I believe that there is purpose in their loss that we can choose to access or not. And so for me, with my first significant loss, you know, I went through all those stages. I go through all those stages. I went through them today, just thinking about being here. I went through them sitting in my chair watching all of the people we've lost. And I'm here because this is the purpose I accessed, right? So the purpose I accessed from 6 people in my life dying in 4 years. Like my whole family, basically, is so that I can be here and help other people through their stage of grief. Whatever stage that they're in. That is my purpose. Do I believe that people dying happens for it happens? Do I want purpose from this or not? And I think that's a really important stage, right? That we get to decide what that means for us. It means something so different for everybody. And obviously, right, on the Trans Day of Remembrance, their death has a purpose for all of you. And that's how we get to honor them. So thank you so much, you guys, for letting me be here. I'll be here for a little bit if you guys want to check in.
Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for Tiesa for doing all of our tech stuff, please? Thank you, Tiesa. Thank you, Nicolette, for sharing your knowledge with us. I really like what you said about purpose. I am the person who wrote all of the bios that you read in the program, who created the graphics of these people, who did the research to find out more info about these human beings because I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge who they were and not just how they died. And I can look at those images and tell you facts about who they were and how they died just by looking at them because I've spent the last 3 months very intimate, like just digging through all of this information. So I feel a lot of grief for these people that I never met, but I feel like I know them or I got to know a piece of them. And I know many of us here probably feel the same way. We grieve for them because they are our siblings. They are our community, whether we knew them or not, and they deserve to be remembered. So thank you for coming here tonight with that purpose to remember them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So before we end tonight, we just want to make sure that we're thanking and honoring everyone who deserves it and needs it. So an endless amount of thanks to everyone who has contributed to this event to help make it a success, especially our TDOR committee that has been working really hard the last few months, and much of the Positive Images team. Thank you so much. We again just want to say a huge, huge thank you to the California for hosting us tonight. It is such a beautiful space. Your allyship means so much to us, and we are so grateful to hold this meaningful event in a really beautiful venue. And so again, I just want to encourage you, if you have the extra cash, to please patron them tonight. Go to the bar, get yourself a drink, a mocktail, a snack, something like that, so that we can give back and show our support to them. We also want to thank everyone who donated food today, including LGBTQ Connection, Mambo's Pizza, and Hazel. We've got delicious pizza and cookies that is now probably cold, but cold pizza is great, so you should still eat some because it looks like we still have a lot. And we do, again, have some vegan and gluten-free options. And then finally, we want to thank Sonoma County Pride for their donation to our team to help us in purchasing decorations and food. So thank you for your support and making sure our event is beautiful and tastes delicious. So thank you.
Hola. I think we're good. Okay, sure. Thank you. I'm like anxiously moving these. Okay. Voy a hablar en español. También quiero expresar mi gratitud a todos en este teatro, especialmente para mi gente latino. Si lo saben, lo saben. Pero les quiero agradecer por enseñarme que los futuros transgéneros pueden ser exitosos. Estoy muy agradecida por estar en comunidad con ustedes y seguir el trabajo con imágenes positivas que apenas comenzó el año pasado. También quiero agradecer organizaciones como La Plaza, On the Margins, Latino Service Providers, On DocuFund, Raíces Collective, Almas Libres. Y muchas más comunidades, organizaciones de nuestra comunidad haciendo el trabajo comunitario que hemos hecho. Finalmente, quiero agradecer a mi familia que está presente hoy. Apoyándome en el trabajo que hago y más que nada me aman. Gracias por reunirse con nosotros para recordar a nuestra gente como se debe de ser. Si se quieren quedar, todavía tenemos el proyecto de arte, si quieren compartir algunas palabras que sienten hoy. I also want to thank everyone just for being with us tonight and just honoring our people the way they should be honored. And if y'all like to hang out a little bit longer with us, we still have the art project happening. So if you like to share a couple words or other relatives that came to mind during the the grief ritual, I invite y'all. So por favor, compran una bebida y gracias por una noche.
Thank you. We know that things probably feel pretty bleak right now for a lot of us, especially in the wake of the election in the last few weeks. The hate in this country towards our community is pretty strong. There's no denying that. But looking out at all of your faces tonight reminds me that our love, our strength, our community, and our care for each other is so much stronger than that hate could ever be. No matter who is elected or what policies are put in place, we will band together to care for one another. Tonight's event is proof of that. So please feel whatever it is you have to feel, whether that's hopelessness, fear, anger, sadness, whatever it may be. But we can't stay in those feelings forever. We have to remember that our elders fought unjust laws, discrimination, the AIDS crisis, and much more to pave the way for us to be here today. They did not give up, and we will not either. Please know that you are loved you are important, and that your presence on this earth is a gift that changes the world around you just by you being in it. Trans lives matter. Black trans lives matter. Palestinian trans lives matter. Disabled trans lives matter. Trans lives matter. Your life has an inherent worth that no one can ever take away from you. Being trans is a blessing. Don't let anyone ever tell you differently. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Please take care. Like Roni said, we have our community connection hour here until 9 o'clock. So if you want to hang out, you don't have to, but we would love to continue to hang out with you, be in community with each other, have a drink, have some pizza, some cookies, and please contribute to our community art project. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Cluster Funk, for doing this. So please contribute to that, and thank you all. Please drive safe in this rain. Have a good night.